My mama?
Oh, she was a courtesan. And let me tell you, she poured her blood, sweat, and tears into funding my dad's entire education and exams. Years later, my dad becomes the top scholar, but then the emperor decides he wants to marry off a princess to him. My dad literally threatened death to refuse the royal marriage in the Golden Luan Hall, and even grandly married my mother. We all thought our little family of three could finally live in peace. But plot twist. Just 3 days later, my mom, still in her neatly stitched clothes, was found dead at the alley entrance, humiliated to death. Half a year later, the princess finally got her wish and married my father. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of her misfortune. My mom was killed on my 8th birthday, by the way. My dad had taken me out early that day, buying tons of fruits and pastries from the street, and even picked out an exquisite golden hairpin for mom. He told me how mom almost died giving birth to me, and asked me to personally give her the hairpin that night. Just as I was about to say yes, a servant boy from our manor came stumbling, running towards us. "Madam, she's dead at the alley entrance." My dad instantly stopped caring about me, scrambling, crawling, falling, and just running forward. His face and hands were all scraped up, but he just staggered back to his feet and kept going. I cried, running after him, calling Daddy, but he never once looked back. My dad completely forgot his image, pushing through the crowd, screaming, "Get out! Don't look! Nobody look!" He screamed until his voice was hoarse, then clumsily scooped up Mom and rushed back into the manor. He just kept sobbing and crying, like a stray dog who lost its owner, his world completely shattered. Dad wouldn't let me see Mom's body. He locked himself and Mom inside the room. Everyone outside said my dad had gone insane. It wasn't until 5 days later, after not eating or drinking anything, that he finally emerged from the room. He meticulously arranged Mom's funeral. Even though he'd lost so much weight, his eyes were sharper than ever. On the day of Mom's funeral, guess who showed up? The princess, dressed to the nines, radiating nobility and grace. Our little green tea bitch, with her noble status, practically oozed arrogance in every word and gesture, but the second she saw my dad, she immediately reined it in, transforming into an inexplicably agitated young lady. My dad handled her with such subtle precision, just a few normal polite phrases, and the princess was practically giggling non-stop. That night, after seeing the princess off, my dad asked me in front of Mom's mourning hall, "Did you get a good look at the third princess's face?" "Yes," I said. He replied, "Good. Later, I'll peel off her face and make it into a shield for you. Want that, sweetie?" Even though I was so little then, it was the first time I understood hatred. I didn't need Dad to step in. This girl could do it herself. My dad smiled, satisfied. After Mom's funeral was taken care of, he returned to the Hanlon Academy to resume his post. Every day, when he came back to the manor, the lingering scent of the third princess would cling to him. Half a year later, the princess was pregnant, sending shockwaves through the entire court. My dad? He just calmly kept teaching me to read. But the third princess's scandalous premarital reputation spread like wildfire both inside and outside the palace. Even the censorate submitted memorials. That night, someone dressed as a palace maid knocked on the top scholar's manor door. In the dead of night, I heard a woman's heartbreaking sobs. "My reputation is utterly ruined, and you still haven't begged the emperor to marry me. Are you trying to force me to my death? Hey you, get rid of this child, then I'll marry you. You wouldn't want to wear a wedding dress with a big belly, would you?" "I'm scared." "Scared of what? You want His Majesty to know it was me? If he finds out, will my official career path even exist anymore? I'm fighting for your future here, but how am I supposed to tell the Emperor? He'll beat me to death. Get rid of this child, and tell His Majesty that the father is a servant boy from your manor. Then, if you still say you want to marry me, His Majesty won't just agree, he'll even promote me to compensate for the hardship. If I get promoted, won't you be the one getting the sweet deal?" My dad used his sweet talk to coax the princess into getting an abortion, which severely harmed her body. The next day, the princess's maid came rushing to our door, saying the princess had been bleeding non-stop ever since she took the medicine. But when my dad went to check, he just used the excuse of too many eyes, too many people, and sent the princess's maid away. 5 days later, His Majesty summoned my dad, forced him to marry the princess, and even promoted him. Everyone outside just laughed, saying my dad had picked up a pair of worn-out shoes. And I knew my dad was the one who started that rumor. See, on my dad and Mom's wedding day, the third princess had sent someone to deliver a pair of worn-out shoes. She mocked my mom, saying she used to sell her body, that she was a slut anyone could have, and utterly unworthy of being the top scholar's wife. My dad wanted her to endure the exact same humiliation. Everything she did to humiliate my mom, my dad would return 100,000-fold. Her grand wedding was held super perfunctorily, and get this, the third princess's wedding dress was even borrowed from the eldest princess. The night they were supposed to tie the knot, Daddy just casually put our queen's mom's memorial tablet, smack dab, in the middle of the main hall. He claimed some spiritual master performed a ritual and confirmed our queen's mom was still holding on to some serious grudges, refusing to reincarnate until this new wife bowed to her. Iconic. The princess was seeing red, literally. She was all like if she was some noblewoman maybe, but she's just a lowly commoner and I'm a princess. How dare I bow to her? Girl, chill. Daddy's face went dark, and his glare was so sharp it literally froze the princess in place. She knew she messed up. The whole hall went dead silent. Our queen could literally hear the princess gulp. Daddy then dramatically ripped off his wedding robes and tossed them on the ground. If you're not gonna bow, then this whole marriage thing is off, he declared. Mic drop! Panicked that Daddy would actually cancel, the princess immediately dropped to her knees, grabbed his robes, and literally begged to bow to our queen's mom. Oh, how the turntables. Only after that did Daddy put his robes back on and finally marry her. But he wasn't done. He then used every trick in the book to force the princess to offer tea in front of our queen's mom's tablet before she was allowed to go to her room. Peak pettiness. That night, Daddy slipped some tranquilizers into the princess's hot soup. Once she was out cold, he had servants bring in, wait for it, a beggar. The chaos is real. After making sure the beggar was settled, Daddy burned his wedding robes and then just sat outside our queen's mom's ancestral hall with our queen in his arms all night. This man is dedicated. Our queen asked Daddy why he didn't go inside. He just stroked her head, and tears started falling, totally uncontrollably. My heart. Our queen knew Daddy felt so much guilt for not being able to protect her mom. Back when Daddy and our queen's mom got married, he was literally a broke scholar, not a penny to his name. He made a living by foraging for herbs and transcribing texts for people. Talk about humble beginnings. Our queen's mom was this legendary courtesan in Qingzhou, and trust me, princes and rich young masters were throwing money at her like confetti, but she wouldn't even glance their way. Queen energy. But she wasn't about that rich life. All she wanted was sincerity, so she gave Daddy all her savings and told him to buy her freedom. A true romantic. Deep down, our queen's mom was scared Daddy would take the money and ghost her, leaving her heartbroken. My poor baby. She was betting it all, to see if Daddy's love was real. Her sisters had given all their money to their beloveds, to buy their freedom. But those guys? Yeah, they took the money and ghosted. Our queen's mom's sisters couldn't handle the betrayal, and tragically ended up jumping into a lake, heavy. Luckily, our queen's mom was luckier than her sisters. She chose wisely. This broke scholar Daddy had absolutely nothing except a head full of brains and a heart full of sincerity. After Daddy bought her freedom, they just had a simple bowing ceremony. Our queen's mom was super conscious of her past, so she didn't want to invite any relatives, fearing the shame. Even though she never said it, Daddy knew. Later, when he finally made it big and got some income, he immediately started saving up to give our queen's mom the proper wedding she deserved. He knew our queen's mom, even if she didn't say it, wished for the same. Daddy actually never wanted a grand 10-mile-long wedding procession or a lavish ceremony. More than anything, he was terrified our queen's mom would be the subject of gossip. But then the princess, being the green tea she is, dug up our queen's mom's past as a courtesan and gleefully spread it everywhere. Daddy almost got demoted because of her. Our queen's mom became the literal laughingstock of all of Shangjing. Everyone called her lowly and shameless. And the princess, with her entire mean girl clique, would spend all day outside the mansion with her servants and maids, deliberately spewing hateful words for our queen's mom to overhear. The audacity. A trashy commoner daring to dream of becoming a noble lady, she truly forgot her place. They'd sneer. In a fit of absolute rage, Daddy used all his life savings, right when the gossip was at its peak, to throw our queen's mom the grandest wedding imaginable. He truly said, and what about it? Everyone was absolutely shook by Daddy's move. The princess was so mad, she literally locked herself in her room and refused to come out. Face slapped. Early the next morning, the princess, still fuming, asked Daddy where his wedding robes went. Why can't I see them anymore? She demanded. Daddy just casually replied, oh, last night I woke up, tripped and it got all dirty, so I had someone throw it out. Sir, the lies. The princess was clearly annoyed, but didn't press the issue. However, the moment Daddy left the mansion, she forced our queen back to her room. Our queen didn't tell Daddy, because he had his own way of getting revenge, and she had hers. Get that girl boss energy. Daddy was getting super busy, spending less and less time at home. Every time he did come back, he'd bring a whole squad to the study to talk business. Years passed, and our queen saw the caliber of people Daddy brought home evolve. From small fry 7th-rank officials to powerful 3rd-rank ministers, and eventually even the tyrannical enforcers of the Dongcheng and the Yizheng prince who held absolute power. Daddy was getting slicker, his eyes colder and his frame thinner. He was playing the long game. 4 years later, the princess was pregnant again. She was absolutely thrilled, riding back to the palace in a luxurious carriage, all proud and boastful. She didn't return until evening, but get this. The carriage was empty. But when she finally did return, her carriage was overflowing with gold, silver, and jewels. She walked in smugly, peacocking around, but little did this princess know, the baby she was carrying was not our girl's father's. He literally despises her guts. How could he ever touch her? That night, a seductive scent filled the manor. No one knew if the princess was sleeping with a beggar or a prisoner. Our girl's father secretly tracked down the thugs, who harmed our girl's mother. They knelt before him, begging for their lives. They confessed to our girl's father that the princess had told them the woman they needed to humiliate was a lowly prostitute, so they could do whatever they wanted. After hearing this, our girl's father sat stunned, yet showed no anger. When he finally snapped back, he let out a strange, chilling laugh, muttering lowly over and over, until he was on the ground, head in hands, sobbing and gasping for air, tears streaming down his face. The next day, 5 eerie lanterns appeared under the eaves of our girl's mother's ancestral hall. Our girl knew this was just the beginning. Our girl's father had truly gone mad, and there was no turning back. Lately, he barely came home. He was spending all day with the eunuchs from the Eastern Depot, investigating officials for corruption, bribery, and selling titles, then tossing them all in jail. The smell of blood on our girl's father grew stronger by the day. The princess hadn't seen our girl's father in half a month, then heard he was investigating a brothel. Her pregnant self couldn't sit still. She smashed a teacup and screamed, "Bring him back to this princess like a woman fetching her man." When our girl's father finally returned, the bloodstains on him hadn't even been wiped clean. The princess immediately threw herself into our girl's father's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Why haven't you been home for so long? What have you been busy with, hubby?" "Busy killing people." "Who is so important that you had to get your hands dirty? Are those evil officials in jail just trash? Couldn't they do it?" Li Yushi's wife, Xiang Shilang's sister, and even Princess Minghua. With each name our girl's father uttered, the smile on the princess's face faded a little more. These were all the people who helped the princess humiliate our girl's mother back then. The princess's voice trembled. "Why did you kill them?" "Those women went to the palace to pay respects to the empress, but ended up getting favored by your emperor father. Your empress mother became jealous, so she ordered me to kill them." "Oh, so it was about that. I thought it was for that cheap hussy." The princess realized she'd slipped up, quickly covering her mouth, then swiftly changed the subject. "They totally deserve to die. Daring to climb into Emperor Father's bed right under Empress Mother's nose. Dying 100 times wouldn't be enough. It's just, it dirtied your hands, hubby." Our girl's father let out a faint smile, because the next one would be the princess. The end of the year was nearing, and the princess was due to give birth soon. Days before her due date, she repeatedly warned our girl's father that he had to drop everything and come home for her. She cried pitifully in our girl's father's arms, and only when he agreed did she finally crack a smile. But on the day of birth, she was in so much pain she couldn't stand, almost fainting. Our girl's father didn't come back. Not only did he not return, but there wasn't a single person in the entire manor to help her. She writhed on the floor in her room, groaning in agony. "Is anyone there?" The entire manor was eerily empty, as if no one was there. Only her cries echoed around. Our girl pushed open the door and stepped in. "It's my turn," she thought. "I've waited so long, endured so much, and finally it's my turn." The princess saw our girl and, like a drowning woman grasping at a straw, frantically crawled over to grab our girl's leg, sweating profusely, as she desperately begged our girl to find our girl's father. Our girl held a dagger, itching for revenge, but this baddie had done so many evil deeds. How could our girl let her die so easily? Our girl told her that our girl's father had been assassinated outside, his fate unknown. The princess's vision immediately went dark, and she nearly fainted. That night, she suffered for 7 or 8 hours, finally giving birth to a baby with the help of a midwife. Our girl sat outside the door, watching the sky lighten, listening to the baby's clear cries behind her. She couldn't help but let out a silent, chilling laugh. Finally, it's my turn, our girl thought. I will make this princess taste the agony of losing her loved ones. 15 days later, our girl's father returned. Seeing his wounds and weak complexion, the princess's resentment transformed into pity. "Muyu, I almost died. How are your wounds, hubby?" Our girl's father said he was fine, and after a perfunctory response to the princess, he went to his room to rest. Our girl's father's wounds were real. He had just quelled a civil rebellion after the regent king rebelled. Our girl's father allied with the loyal army to suppress them. Our dad is literally flexing his power, controlling over half the military in the whole empire. And not just that, a whole bunch of high-ranking officials, all his loyal little minions, personally groomed over 5 years. Our dad played the long game, patiently plotting and scheming for years. And now, success is literally knocking on his door. After a few days of recovering, Dad was feeling much better and decided to pay the princess a little visit. He purposefully sat right by her bedside, gently spoon-feeding her soup, even telling her some jokes. Talk about putting on a show. Just when things were getting cozy, our dad dramatically pinched his nose, brows furrowed in disgust. Ew, what is this rotten fish smell? The princess's face went from pale to ghostly white. She just stared at him with dry, hollow eyes, instinctively clutching her blanket like it was her last lifeline. Your wounds aren't healed yet, maybe you should just go get some rest. Like, now. Our dad? He just pretended he didn't hear the absolute ick and get out vibes radiating from her, stood up and bounced. The moment he stepped out, the princess's heartbroken sobs echoed from inside the room. Our dad knew exactly how to hit where it hurt, how to absolutely shatter a woman, just as deeply as he knew how to love one. My mother used to tell me dad was a big softy who cried a lot. When mother was in postpartum confinement, dad was even changing her diapers. He'd take them to wash, then sneak off to wipe away his tears. He felt so bad for all the suffering mother went through giving birth. Mother used to say he was a big kid, but nope, dad was no kid. When mother was in confinement, dad barely got a wink of sleep. He was juggling caring for me and mother, cooking nourishing meals for her, even washing my diapers. He was literally a one-man army, taking care of mother for so long. He knew everything about postpartum confinement better than anyone. And now, he purposefully spewed those words just to absolutely torment the princess. He knew her high and mighty princess energy, so he went straight for her pride, stomping all over her self-esteem like it was nothing. To make her absolutely lose it, to make her suffer the way she made others suffer. When mother died,
Yes?
she was 2 months pregnant. We never even knew if it was a boy or girl. And get this, the princess actually threatened that the baby wouldn't live past 3 months. 2 months later, the princess emerged from her confinement, radiating that annoyingly cheerful, I'm better than everyone energy. All the big shot officials in the capital got their invites, and the mansion was throwing a huge bash. The party? To celebrate her son being named heir, everyone was like, oh, the princess truly has an eye for talent. That top scholar truly had a limitless future. He's basically a power player now, standing above thousands, second only to the emperor. The princess? She just puffed out her chest, chin held high, radiating pure unadulterated smugness. Apparently, after that year's imperial exams, both the Imperial Observatory and the National Preceptor unanimously predicted that Pei would become the powerful minister, literally one person below, 10,000 above. And a genius like that? Obviously, only this princess was worthy of him. All around, the sycophants were practically tripping over themselves, echoing her every word. I, meanwhile, was hiding behind the door, my entire body going stone cold as I collapsed onto the ground. So this is why she openly forced mother's death, why she wouldn't let dad resign, all for some stupid prophecy? A fake prophecy like that, and it cost my mother her life. If dad ever found out about this, I swear he'd lose his marbles even more than he already has. After the feast wrapped up, the princess, still beaming with pride, led the officials to the lake to gaze at the pretty lanterns. But then, plot twist, her son's fancy cradle snapped. The cradle flipped, the baby crashed to the ground, and then tumbled down the stone steps. Screams erupted all around them. And just like that, the baby rolled straight into the lake. 1 second, the princess was radiating pure smugness. The next, she collapsed into absolute despair. Her anguished wails echoed through the entire courtyard. I stepped out from behind a pillar, watching her every reaction. Her face, ghostly pale from agony, was exactly like mine was back then, and her desperate, echoing screams, identical. Who says there's no such thing as empathy in this world, huh? Look at her. Isn't she literally mirroring my pain right now? After her baby died, the princess's mental state completely imploded. She just kept getting more and more unhinged. She locked herself in her room, hugging a pillow, wandering barefoot everywhere. The only time she'd calm down, when dad showed up. Dad would even cook for her, and she'd eat it, then immediately burst into tears, confessing all her sins to him. She confessed she just wanted to borrow the Grand Princess's son's good fortune, which is why she borrowed that specific cradle. She claimed she didn't know it was already hollowed out by termites on the inside. Our dad just comforted her, saying, this girlie cried, her voice hoarse, then dramatically collapsed into daddy's arms, sobbing. Hey, we're having another baby. I'll definitely give you a crown prince, she declared. Sis, calm down. That former wife was never worthy of you. I am the true #1 beauty of Chang'an. Ugh, the green tea is overflowing. Daddy was immediately radiating murderous aura. He was fighting every urge to just choke her right then and there. Our mastermind had to physically restrain the burning hatred in his heart before gently lifting the princess's chin. The calm before the storm, y'all. Oh, and this princess? She was indeed the undisputed one beauty of Chang'an. Her ego reminded us every 5 seconds. Thanks to daddy's oh-so-attentive care, half a year later, our resident White Lotus was pregnant again, wild. This time, though, she was surprisingly low-key. No more social butterfly antics, she just stayed in her room, quietly rubbing her belly, lost in thought. The imperial physician even secretly warned Daddy that the princess's mental state was fragile. One more push and she'd completely lose it. Oh honey, you have no idea. But after the physician left, Daddy just gave a subtle, chilling smile. We love a man with a plan. Come the 6th month, the princess's belly broke out in angry red spots, seemingly overnight. Eek! She was terrified, but this time Daddy wasn't his usual savage self. He gently coaxed her, even offering a box of ointment. This man is a master manipulator. Just apply this, and it'll disappear. Don't cry, little one. He really nailed the innocent act. Daddy carefully soothed her, not because he cared, but to ensure she was in peak mental condition for his ultimate, most fatal face slap. Genius. The princess applied the ointment, and sure enough, the spots on her belly slowly vanished. For now, her joy was short-lived because soon after the face she prided herself on began to rot, little by little. Oh my god. Not a sudden massive decay, but a tiny bit every single day. Slow, painful, lethal, the psychological damage. Of course, the princess went absolutely insane. Her face was literally her entire personality. Meanwhile, Daddy was gathering his forces, staging a full-blown coup, and our Queen of Vanity, still locked in her room, refusing to see anyone. Priorities, sis. She was completely oblivious to the outside world, her family jailed, Daddy's years-long revenge plot blossoming, her own impending doom. When Daddy finally returned and saw her, more than half her face was gone. Her dangling eyeballs were utterly grotesque, but Daddy wasn't scared. He didn't even care. Instead, he laughed with pure, unadulterated delight. Shh! The princess finally caught a glimpse of Daddy's dragon robes and it all clicked. Oh, now you get it? She collapsed, crawling to his feet, trying to say something, but only pathetic gurgles escaped her ruined mouth. Daddy gently lifted her chin with his hand, a chilling smile playing on his lips. Remember that year you tried to carve up your mother's face with a knife? I told you then, one day, I'd utterly destroy this face of yours. Mic op, drop. The princess's tears flowed, making her already horrific face even more terrifying. Daddy stood up as guards entered, carrying away the princess, who was now just a despairing husk waiting for death. Don't worry, my dear, he sneered. You won't die that quickly. Your parents will die before you do. And right before your eyes, I'll flay their skin. My jaw is on the floor. My technique is quite perfected now. When it's your turn, you'll see. The princess couldn't help but tremble. Good. That princess kept yapping about her empress mother's generosity, but for her own happiness, she shamelessly tricked our queen's mom into the palace, wanting her dead. And the emperor? He just kept enabling her, bless his heart. Our queen's mom barely survived that, and what did he do next? Bestowed poison upon her. Are we kidding? If her dad hadn't snatched it and drank the poison, only to be stopped by the princess, both her parents would have been long gone. Talk about going down for your queen. Dad, seeing the princess all flustered and uncomfortable, was secretly thrilled. We love to see it. He then drops the bomb. Every single child you feared. Not a single one is mine. In this entire estate, I never even laid a hand on you once. Oh, but weren't you the one who thought herself oh so noble and high class? So, how about the scent of those condemned beggars and prisoners, huh? At that, the princess's nearly dead body suddenly burst with immense, unhinged power. She reached out to grab Dad, but was so utterly enraged, she just crumpled to the ground, unable to make a single sound. Dad stood beside her, letting out a wild laugh, but that laugh quickly dissolved into heart-wrenching sobs. He leaned on the table, dry heaving, nothing, until he finally spewed out a mouthful of blood. Our man was truly suffering. Turns out, even after getting his revenge, Dad still wasn't happy. The emptiness hit different. Right? You got your revenge, but the person you cared about the most? Gone. So how could you ever truly be happy? The brightest lantern was hung reverently before our queen's mom's memorial tablet. And Dad, overnight, seemed to transform into a completely different man, the weight of it all. He then poured every ounce of his being into teaching me the way to rule as an emperor. Dad spent 4 whole years, meticulously purging all the old factions and corrupt officials still festering in the imperial court. And then he crowned me empress, period. Girl boss era. The next day, Dad called me to his imperial study, placed his hands on my shoulders and said, "You must be a good empress, so your mother can reside in the ancestral temple for all eternity, receiving their worship and incense. Understand?"
Okay.
I thought he'd pat my head like he used to when I was little, but he just lowered his hands. Then he said, "I'm sorry, my child. I truly wasn't a good father. This entire life, I could only care for your mother. I couldn't care for you, my child. In the next life, I'll be an ox or a horse to repay you." My man was still dedicated even in the afterlife. I wanted to tell him, "Dad, I love you and Mom. I never once blamed you," but the words just wouldn't come out. For many, many years after, I always wondered why I couldn't just say those words that day. Why, though? Why? Many years later, Dad passed away one afternoon. He was so afraid his hands were stained with too much blood, worried it would upset Mom, that he never dared to visit her at the ancestral hall. Oh, you silly goose. Mom wouldn't blame you, not for a second. So, I buried them together, as they should have been. On the way back, the new royal consort, who had just entered the palace, asked me, "Your Majesty, what characters make up your name?" Bro's already trying to get to know her better, I see. I held on to every single character of Pei Nianjiao, those words that whispered the fair maiden, a gentleman's worthy match. Like their love story, peak romance.